Welcome back, everybody. Now, I know it's not politically correct to have favorites, but I'm going to say we saved the best for last. My personal favorite, the man that needs no introduction. Let's give a warm welcome to Jay Johnson.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. How are you? Are you having a good conference? So this is my third time back, and I am excited to be here. I want to say thank you to this amazing team that puts this on every year. As you saw, people like running around and trying to do all that to get us situated. Today we are going to talk about it's not what you say, it's how you say it. And what I want to accomplish here today, by the way, this is going to be very interactive. So what do I want to accomplish today with you is to give you some food for thought about how is your message being received? How are you actually engaging the customers that you're reaching out to engage? So if we could, can I fire up here? Yeah, no worries, no stress. All right, so that's me. I love communication. I love it. I loved it so much that I started with 1 degree in it, and then I realized I didn't really know how to communicate. And then I got a 2nd degree in it, and I was like, nope, still not getting it. And then I got a 3rd one, and I was like, no, still didn't get it. So I went back to study psychology and neuroscience to help improve my understanding of human behavior. And that's really where we're going to focus today. I'm going to give you the opportunity to understand some different behavioral drives. How many of you went to Ante's presentation earlier in the summit? Okay, so you got to see some of the DISC model and everything else. I'm going to introduce you to a different model, one that I designed personally, and this is something that complements that very well. So there is a difference between personality and drives, and I'll explain what that means. But I want to start off by asking you a very simple question, or maybe it's not so simple. What is communication? Yell it out. Transferring information. Direction, okay. What else? Getting the message across. What constitutes communication? What is it that is like our tone? Is that communication? What about say body language? Okay. Verbal words, all of that? Great. We're going to talk about why each of those is more actually important than what you say. Let's start off with this. What I would like, and can we have somebody with oh, there you are. Hi, how are you? Good to see you again. Make you run all over the place. I would like a courageous, heroic volunteer to take the first crack at this. And what I would like you to do is read this sentence, and I want you to heavily emphasize one of the words. Who's my first heroic volunteer? You're in. All right. So read this, emphasize really strongly one of the words.
I never said she stole my money.
I never said she stole my money. Somebody did, but it wasn't her. Go ahead. Who's next? Next. There we go. All right. Oh, didn't even have to run too far.
I never said she stole my money.
She never stole my money. Okay. One more. Actually, a couple more. I saw one in the back. I saw one of those hands go up. There it is.
I never said she stole my money.
She stole my heart, not my money. One more. Let's hear one more. I saw a hand back there go up.
I never said she stole my money.
You didn't say it. Now, did the words change? So such a fascinating concept. A guy by the name of Albert Mehrabian, a communication scholar, made a suggestion that communication is actually broken into 3 categories: body language, tone and inflection, and then a verbal spoken word, the actual words that we choose. How many of you have ever done a presentation or a speech and you sat there and you wrote all the words down, you made sure that they were perfect, you spent all your time kind of combing through that? Anybody do that? You spent, according to Albert Mehrabian, most of your time perfecting 7% of your message. Tone is 38% by his model, with body language coming in at 55%. All right? Tone matters. But let's take a look at that 55%, or the body language side. Psst, your body betrays you. It tells me and anybody that's paying attention your deepest, darkest secrets. I know what you're thinking. I'm going to teach you how to read minds. Isn't that going to be cool? All right. But here's what I need you to do in order to exercise this. This is where it's going to get really interactive. We're going to have some fun here. If you would kindly stand up, and what I would like you to do is find somebody here that you don't know and go stand next to them. You're going to partner up with somebody that you don't know. So let's see what that looks like. Go find somebody. Now, you can't be standing in between chairs. I want you to actually, like each other, okay? Saw some handshakes in there. Excellent, excellent. Does everybody have a partner? Raise your hand if you need a partner. Okay, good. Oh, looks like we're in pretty good shape. Oh, there we go. All right. So I'm going to point something out here, all right? Make sure no chairs in between you or anything else, but I want you to take a look at where you all are naturally standing. You're standing in what we call a cooperative position. You are essentially King Arthur and the Knights of the Round Table, where everyone is equal and represented. Now, I want to ask you, you did this naturally. I didn't ask you to do this. In every audience that I've ever done this, thousands and thousands and thousands of people all naturally stand in a cooperative position. So here's what we're going to do. I would like you to turn toe to toe, face to face, and very short distance. All right, move in a little bit, hold your breath. I know it's, Okay, you can get out of that position. Step back, step back. Let me tell you what I get to see up here from the stage, because this, by the way, behavioral science is a little bit sadistic. Like, we love seeing people do weird stuff, and this is exactly what I got to see as soon as you turned. Every dude in here was like, whoop, and immediately covered up and started to do looking like the limbo. And every other person started to pull back and they started to smile, and you got this like really awkward grin on your face, this look of terror. And then you did exactly what my puppy does. Anybody here have a puppy or a dog? Okay. Kids, they probably do the exact same thing. I don't, so I'm not 100% sure, but this is what a dog does, okay? And a dog, and by the way, we're all humans. We're, obviously we're part of the animal kingdom, a little different species than a dog, but we behave very similarly sometimes. Because this is what you did. As soon as you did this, you kind of turned this look, and you gave me this look from there, like, get me out of this position, Jay. Now, here's what a dog does. Dog goes outside, squats, turns, finds its spot, and then looks right at you. And it's just like, why are you doing that? That's so awkward. Just do your thing. But what is that dog doing? It's looking for safety. It's looking for comfort. It's like, you got my back if a giant eagle swoops down on me right now. You got this, right? So we model these behaviors. Well, what just happened? I want you to think about how you interview maybe your candidates. Where do you sit when you're working with somebody in sales? Do you sit across from them where you're literally face to face in that aggressive position? Or do you sit in that naturally cooperative space? Do you create a sense of belonging through your body language? Now, let's play a different game. Here's what we're going to do. You're going to walk away from your position, and what I would like you to do is you're going to find somebody, you're going to come up, you're going to shake their hand, and freeze. Wherever you're at, just shake hands and hold it there for a second. All right, ready, set, and go. Freeze. Yep, frozen. Oh, we got one more there. There it is. Okay, I want you to notice a couple of things here. In your frozen position where you're holding, whose hand is closer to the other person? Is your hand closer to your own body, closer to their body? Whose hand is on top, or whose hand is below? I want you to notice, are they leaning back? Are they leaning to the side? Are they leaning forward? Was there eye contact? All of that is a message, okay? All right, you can break hands now. You're welcome. Hopefully there's some sanitizer here. Very good. All right. But so could I borrow you for just a moment? Will you come up? Yeah, please, please. Come join me on stage. What's your name? Gordon, nice to meet you. We're about the same height, so. Now, here's the thing. When you're looking at body language, one of the things that we have to be considerate about is the effect our body has on other people. My friend here, who is slightly taller, just like this much taller than me. It puts me to look like this when I'm coming up. But here's something that's interesting. We have what's called the limbic system in our brain. Fight, flight, and faint. Okay, now I'm gonna give you 1980s business style, hey, you gotta be a business machismo, and I would come in, I'd be like, hey, how you doing, Gordon? It's great to meet you, and I'd shake the shit out of his hand. What the hell kind of idea was that? A good one? No, but this was something that people used to be taught. And the reality is if I do that, and Gordon and I are now in an adversarial position where we're arguing, basically jockeying for that influence position, I've triggered his limbic system and he has triggered mine. And that is not a place of connection. That's not where we create a relationship. So I know that since I'm so big, I'm going to do what's a little bit of a submissive handshake. Now, that doesn't mean I'm going to lay on my back, rolled over like a dog, but I'm going to come in and say, hey, Gordon, it's really nice to meet you. Is my handshake weak? No. I'm matching his pressure, and he's strong, Jesus. All right? But I give this little lean, and I say, I literally show the side of my face, my neck. I let him have the upper hand. I let him get closer to me. I'm not going to like yank him in and be like, hey, how you doing? Good to see you, right? But I'm going to let him be closer to me. Why? Because I'm demonstrating trust. I trust you. I trust that you're, I brought the tallest person I could find out there up here, and I'm demonstrating, hey, it's great to meet you, and I trust you. Let's give Gordon a round of applause. Thank you, brother. All right? So when we think about body language and the impact that we can have, we have to be thinking, if people like you, they will do business with you. If they don't like you, they will make it their business to disrupt you. So I look at body language as one of the fastest ways that you can build rapport and connection with somebody. It is one of the first opportunities that you get to make human contact with somebody else. It is one of those elements that when we position our body in a way that's open, all of you fold your arms real quick. Watch this. This is fun. All right, switch them. It's like watching newborn children take the first step. They're like, oh, do you see? They can do that. So if you took nothing else away from this conference, know that you can fold your arms the opposite way. But why don't we do that? Because we're so unaware of our body mechanics. We're so unaware of what we actually do. Now, my favorite thing in the world is being at a conference, okay? You really want to mess with somebody? When you're on the elevator the next time, don't just walk in and put your back to the wall. Walk in and just look straight there and just smile. I told you, behavioral science, a little sadistic. Everybody in the elevator is going to be like, what the hell is going on? Okay, that is an example of the limbic system. You want to make it even weirder? If there's, gentlemen, you can do this. You can totally freak somebody out. Don't tell them I told you to do this. But say you're in the men's bathroom and there's 3 stalls and there's somebody at the very end one. Well, etiquette says you don't go to the middle one. Walk right to the middle one and just go, hi. You will literally change that person's day. I'm not advocating for any of this. My point in the matter is our body language, our proximity, the space that we create, that matters. It matters. And it has a huge impact on how people perceive you, how they understand you, and whether or not they want to do business with you. I would be thinking about this, whether you're in sales, whether you're in customer service, your tone and inflection and the way that you deliver your message can have an impact on somebody in this room. Imagine if I did the entire talk like you'd be like, oh my God, it's lunchtime yet? Tone and body language, very, very powerful. You will always be mine. Oh, isn't that sweet? You'll always be mine. Fonts matter, friends. Fonts really matter. And the interesting thing is I got a graphic design team as part of my company, and one of the things that they will tell you is that they can tell how old your website is, how old your materials are by the fonts, by the trends in the way that you do lines, in the way in which you actually structure your information. They're going to be able to say, this shit's outdated. They haven't updated this website in at least 38 minutes. Outdated. I'm just kidding, probably not 38 minutes. But the point of the matter is fonts have an impact on how things are perceived, how we read them. So does images. So I'm going to ask you, What do you see happening in this photo? They like each other? Okay, I heard it. She's leaning in. Maybe. So we've established that maybe she's more leaning in, showing an upward gaze, liking, but what is he doing? He's got to go to the bathroom, possibly. That could be a poop face, I'm not going to lie. Oh, look at how tight that hand is. It's grinding. Look at how he's going to break his rocks glass there. His shoulders disengaged. That is the fakest, like, oh my God, she's crazy and I just need to get away from this table smile. That's not an authentic smile. We see all of those different pieces. Now, I pulled this off of a website. Anybody want to guess what type of a website I pulled this off of? A speed dating website. There's that in the back, okay? They had this on the front page of their website. And the challenge is most of us either we take a stock image or we take something, but we're not looking at it with fresh eyes. I looked at some of the images for the yachts, and I see these gigantic waves next to the boats. Well, if I'm somebody that is fearful of, potential damage or calamity, I sure as hell am not getting on that boat. I don't know where it's sailing, but it's not going to happen, right? We look at it and say, okay, well, we have this. I loved that. Somebody had a presentation where it was like the parting sea, and it was just this nice flat surface, and it was like no more bumps or whatever. It was brilliant picture. But when we think about, when we think about the images that you use on your materials, your websites, what is it communicating? Because whether or not it's conscious, unconsciously, you are going to pick up on those subtle cues and those subtle messages. And it's going to tell you, don't go to that speed dating thing. There be crazies. Images matter. Last but not least, if I throw these different words up here on the board for you, investment, cost, price, expense, are those the exact same? I mean, I could say, come buy my product. It's the best investment that you're ever going to make. Come buy my product. It costs this much. The price for my product is this. This is how much you can plan to, this is the expense for your entire stay or your weekend. Similar. Now, I know that there's some translation issues, but my guess is that there is a certain word in that for that might resonate with you a little bit more than the other ones. Or maybe there's one word in there that you're like, oh, I hate that word. I won't ever use that word. And interestingly enough, that oftentimes has a connection to what we're going to talk about next. But the words matter. It really matters how I perceive that. Okay? So, this is what we're going to look at from here. Communication explained in the 4-drive framework. I'm going to practice a little behavioral science voodoo magic here with you, and I'm going to ask you to put an image in your brain, okay? And whatever image you just put in your brain, that's not the one that I want you to put in your brain, because I'm going to tell you which one I want you to put in your brain. All right, I'm going to magically send it to you. I want you, if I say human history, put an image in your brain. Human history. Raise your hand if you said Greeks and Romans, Egypt, agriculture, cavemen. Okay, good. Now, here's the interesting thing. When we think about the Greeks and Romans, you're talking about 2,000 years ago. 2,500 years ago. When you're thinking about Egyptians or Mesopotamia, you're talking about 3,500 years ago. When you're talking about the dawn of agriculture, you're talking about less than 10,000 years ago. Human beings have been on this planet for 180,000 years. That is the first evidence of Homo sapien, our species of human. And at that time, there was 4 different species of human on the planet. We were the last ones standing. How did that happen? We weren't the biggest. We weren't even the smartest based on cranial size and skull, etc. But somehow or another, our species is here, for better or worse, the predominant species on the planet. 180,000 years, which means you're talking 170,000 years of us not living in civilization. So I want you to think back to those ancient ancestors. What did they have to do to survive? What was their daily life? What did that look like? Call it out. What do you think? They had to hunt, they had to gather, they had to bring in and acquire resources. What else did they have to do? They had to communicate. So interestingly enough, the written word doesn't show up except for maybe 40,000, 50,000 years ago. And we don't know exactly what language looked like or what communication looked like, but we had to communicate with who? Our tribe, our people, a number of different, whoever we were connecting with. Let's play a little scenario here. Say that we all worked really hard over the summer to gather up as much resources as we possibly could, okay? And we're getting ready for a really, really difficult winter. We know it's coming, and my friend Gordon breaks into the thing and eats all of our food. What's going to happen to Gordon? Wow, you guys went there quick. Maybe we'll be nice and we're just going to say, Gordon, you're out, you're on your own, go fend for yourself. What is Gordon's survival chances if he is tossed out of our tribe in that ancient history? So we developed this drive to bond, this connection drive. We needed each other. I can't fight off a saber-toothed tiger all by myself, but together we might be able to scare it or be able to defend what we have. We're going to stop that saber-toothed tiger from eating our food. So we have a drive to defend that connects with our drive to bond. Now, what else did we have to do to survive? Because, look at where we are today versus where we were there. What did we have to do? Yeah, we had to pass on knowledge. We had to learn things. We had to figure out how to create fire. We had to learn how to build structures. We had to learn what environmental dangers were out there. That is the 4-drive framework. Drive to acquire, to bond, to learn, and to defend. This was discovered by 2 management scientists from Harvard University, Dr. Paul Lawrence and Nitin Noria. They wrote an incredible book about behavior. And what they did was they looked at anthropology, sociology, history, all of these other things, and they said, here's the 4 things that drive our everyday modern behavior that we developed over generations of our ancestors using them to survive. And at the end of that book, they said, someday somebody's going to come along and figure out how to measure that. And I was like, you're damn right I am. And challenge accepted. So this is what it is. Now, there's a couple of things. We're going to walk through this together. By the time that we finish, you're probably going to have a pretty good idea of what your primary element is. But there are also cards, and everybody's like, you guys must have gotten feedback from your friends because everybody tried to sit as far away from me as they could, and that's okay. I will make you get up and see each other anyways. But there are cards up here. You can scan it, and you're going to be able to take the assessment free. You can take it to your friends, have them take it free, and they can actually get their primary elements. So there's also a pro version where it's an entire 27-page report, but at least start with the free one. Help understand the people that you're working with. Help understand you. But let's play with this real quick. So in a moment, I'm going to put some words on the screen here. We're going to go through each of the elements: air, earth, fire, and water. And I'm going to read the statements that are on here, and I'm going to ask you some questions. Like, for example, what value do they provide? Are they fast? Are they slow? How do they think? How do they communicate? How do they handle customer service? So be ready to answer some questions like that in just a moment. Let's take a look at the drive to learn, our air element. Envisioning the future, adapting to new challenges, developing innovative products and services, sharing ideas, devising new strategies, encouraging flexibility, celebrating innovations, designing future programs for the organization, and facilitating brainstorming sessions. What value does our air element bring to an organization? What do you think? Call it out. Yeah, ideas, possibility, the future, vision. Absolutely. Driven to learn and experience. How do you think air elements handle failure? Yeah, Failure, that's not an issue. Don't worry about failure. If I fail here, I'll come up with a new idea. I'll find a different way to solve that problem. It's not failing, it's part of the process, it's learning. What industries do you think might be really attracted, or job roles would be really attracted to, would the AIR element be really attracted to? Marketing is huge. So we've done about 30,000 assessments globally. Marketing, very, very high on the AIR element. Very good. What other ones? Any others? Research and development's a big one. When we see faculty researchers, oftentimes very high levels of AIR, very interested in coming up with new ideas, solving challenges. This is also very agile. How do you think our AIR elements handle customer service? They're going to collaborate. They're going to try to solve that problem. They're going to come up with 1,000 ideas to fix whatever the issue is. How do you think they handle sales? They can often be very overwhelming. I can tell you this, I can tell you this, I can tell you this, and this, and this, and this, and this, and the person's going, oh my God, because there's excitability in there. Now, this drive to learn is actually mapped to the dopaminergic drive of control. We're going to talk about the neurotransmitters because we map those to the system as well. All right? So our AIR element, very, very driven to learn. Let's take a look at our next element, the earth element. Developing processes and procedures, promoting efficiencies, instituting organizational structure, emphasizing process-focused solutions, optimizing existing procedures, reducing risk exposure, analyzing data, creating new systems, and following policies. What value or what things matter to our earth element? Yes, operation, structure, process, exactly. So they're very systematic, system thinkers. And in fact, I read those out of order. So if you were an earth, you were probably going, what the hell is he doing? Why is he reading those diagonally? So I caught you, right? A little behavioral science for you there. So if you were to think about what jobs or roles an earth element might be really attracted to, what do you think? What was that? Finance, huge. Accounting in particular. So I was doing a conference, 600 different accountants all in a room. Real fun crowd. I'm just kidding, accountants. I'm so sorry. 600, they were actually a blast. But when I did this part of it, they're all going, oh my God, that is me. So you were seen, if that's you. How do you think they handle customer service? They might be lacking that flexibility, right? They're going to look at it and say, well, I'm sorry, I told you 3 times not to do that, and I'm not fixing your problem. Get out. Or they're going to say, you're right. 100%, you're right. That's what this said, and I'm going to fix that, and here's how I'm going to do it. And this is the structure of how I'm going to do it. And they're probably going to communicate it that way too, okay? So when we think about our earth, now I do want to pause for 2 seconds here. No element is better or worse at any job, okay? It's about the energy and the motivation that we bring into a space. Earth is my lowest element. If you looked at my entire behavioral profile, we talk about balance. I am imbalanced. I think a lot of people knew that far before I took my own assessment, but that's how you know I didn't cheat the numbers. My earth element's super low. I love search engine optimization. The tediousness of looking at 1,000 words on this page and modifying just this to this percentage. This is how I got behavioral intelligence by our company to the top of Google. Why? I love it. I'm not bad at earth tasks or earth responsibilities. It just takes me a lot of energy. It takes me a little longer. I don't always think of it first. But we all have all 4 of the elements. And just because you're high or low doesn't mean you're good or bad at it. Does that make sense? Everybody with me on that? Perfect. How do you think Earth handles sales? No discounts, that's right. They want a structured approach. They're going to want, I need all of this and this. This is the sequence. This is the call. This is the email. This is this. This is this. And they're going to take a very structured approach to that sales. And if they don't have the answers, they're probably not going to sell it. They're not going to want to try to design answers or solve those problems on the spot. They're going to take their time, okay? Next element, so this is the drive to defend. Next element, the drive to acquire. Exceeding goals and expectations, dominating the competition, performing at peak levels, emphasizing speed of delivery, encouraging a results-focused strategy, winning the battles and the wars, defeating impossible challenges, making tough decisions, and leading the team. What value do they bring to an organization? They can be leaders, but are they always the best leaders? Why did they get into leadership positions? And you're absolutely right. So across executives, C-suite executives, most of them generally have a high level of fire. Why? Because they're a little bit more aggressive potentially, right? They're going to jump out there. They're going to leap without thinking about it. They're going to go for the results. And if I'm a salesperson and I am crushing it year after year after year after year after year after year, and you see these massive numbers, of course you're going to want to promote me to leadership. Does that mean that I know how to lead a team? It doesn't. Personal story. Okay, so this is something that we have to think about is we do see them in leadership positions. We also see them in sales. So we do probably about 5,000 different assessments in real estate, a number of other different industries, real estate being one of the biggest. 82% of the salespeople end up showing a high fire element that as their primary element because they want to win and they want to acquire. They have that a little bit of status that goes with it. So how does a fire element handle customer service? So I love that you say that. Fire elements can be very direct. We're going to say direct and very honest and be like, are you kidding me? Are you seriously upset about that? And they might have that visceral reaction. Doesn't mean they're going to act on it. I'll tell you in a minute. But yes, there's going to be one of two ways that they approach it. One is they will be a bulldog to solve a problem. That's an issue. I will get that done and fixed for you. They might overpromise. I will build a wall right here for you on this thing, and you will be safe, I assure you. And then they go back to corporate, and corporate's like, what the hell did you promise? Because they wanted to solve that problem and fix it. They didn't necessarily think about all the other things that are going along with it. And the other way is they can get into an argument. Two fires, my favorite thing in the world is to watch. Two fires can sit there and argue with each other, yell at each other, and then, you want to grab a beer? Yeah, let's do it. Everybody else is mortified, and like 7 minutes later, like, oh, you're still upset about that? What's wrong with you? I've moved on. That was so 8 minutes ago. How do you think they sell? They sell. They're going to look for that sale. They're going to hunt that sale. They're going to push for that sale. They're going to be on that track to win whatever that deal is. Very driven to win, okay? Very competitive. Last element, the water element, the drive to bond. We have being empathetic to people's concerns, promoting teamwork and collaboration, resolving team conflicts, counseling teammates and coworkers, coaching people, encouraging collaboration, seeing the value of teamwork, creating a comfortable environment, and emphasizing inclusion. What value do they bring? Can support that organization. What else? What are they really focused on? They love people, teams. We're going to bring them together. So I mentioned this is not a personality assessment because here's what we did when we designed this. We took everybody, measured them on behavioral elements, and then we measured them in DISC, and then we measured them in Myers-Briggs, then we measured them in enneagrams, then we measured them in colors, then we measured them in insights. Yes, I'm certified in all of those, so I wanted to understand, am I measuring the same damn thing? You can be an extroverted water, where you desperately want to be out there and amongst the people, and you can be a highly introverted water. You can be a conscientious fire and literally lead a nonprofit, and you can be very, very low in the conscientious personality framework and be a fire and be an asshole. That was me. I've learned, though. I've learned. So one of the questions that I'm always asked is, okay, can you change this? And I say, personality And the research behind personality. How many of you have a 6-year-old or older child? Anybody have a 6-year-old? Sorry, you are stuck with their personality, so I hope it's awesome, okay? But by psychological literature, they suggest that personality is generally unchanging from the age 6 and on. Behavior and our drives, they can change. I'm going to give you a quick example of this in just a moment. How do you think water elements handle customer service? Say it. I heard it, I felt it, I could see you. Yeah, so they are oftentimes very empathetic. They'll listen, they'll connect with them. They're going to want to solve that problem. They might actually feel it if they're not able to solve that problem. They are very dedicated to those relationships. So as I mentioned, no one element holds the bar on anything else. When I do sales presentations or when I'm training sales teams, this is a great example. One of the IT security teams that we ended up working with in Istanbul, their CEO, super high fire, really high fire. The rest of the team, all water and earth. CEO comes out and is like, hey, here's the new directive. This quarter, we're going to blow these numbers out of the water. I want your asses smiling and dialing. Get out there. Woohoo, let's go. And that was their worst sales quarter in the history of their company. No one. They actually sold less than they did the previous quarter. So they didn't really understand what was going on. We measured their entire team, showed this and said, okay, I'm going to train your earths to sell like an earth. I'm going to train your waters to sell relationally. I'm going to teach them those skills. Your water elements, they're not going to necessarily put up the same number of wins in a year as your fire elements, but my God, whatever ones they do are going to be a long-term customer because they're going to feel special, needed, wanted, and the lifetime value of that is as good as pushing out those numbers for the churn and burn one-time sales. This is why all of these elements can work together in a very powerful way. We shifted that, gave that training, 4 times the revenue of the previous, not the one that they screwed up, the previous 4 times in a 90-day sprint. If we learn to use the energy or use that motivation, those drives that are underlying, if we use them in a functional way, it's such a powerful way to get the best out of people in a room. It also helps when you understand the other people in a room. So I'm going to ask you a question. What element do you think I am? Oh, you nailed it. I am a fire through and through. I was a hockey player, and after that, I was a competitive debater. Yes, I argued, and I argued for money. That was what got me. I had no intention of going to college. I was going to be a professional hockey player, and then somebody finally told me, you're not as tall as Gordon. You should probably do something else with your life. I was like, oh, good idea. So I decided to argue for money, and then after that, I decided to go into mixed martial arts because, real good idea there too. Anyways, I stopped mixed martial arts when I started speaking because I got punched in the mouth and it chipped a tooth. And then I was giving a talk on dealing with difficult people while it was whistling, and I'm just like, this is terrible. So I don't do that anymore. But anyways, I'm a competitor. Over the course of the pandemic, I taught my little nephew, he's 10 years old, how to play chess. I love chess. Strategic game, you go for the kill. How many times do you think I let my 10-year-old nephew beat me? 0. That's right. You come at me hard, kid, or you don't come at all. You got to learn life lessons the hard way. Don't think I'm a monster, all right? But the point of the matter here is one day I'm sitting there and I'm playing on my phone and I move my piece and I'm not paying attention and I let it go. And as soon as I did, I had that moment. You know that moment, right? Of panic when you know you just made a colossal mistake. But I'm like, all right, behavioral science this, just pretend like you didn't do anything and it was intentional. And I'm like looking out my eye to see him. And he's looking at me, looks at the board, looks at me, looks at the board, and he moves his queen. I started to panic. My hands started to sweat. My throat started to tense up. My heartbeat was starting to go 1,000 miles an hour. I had these thoughts. What if I just stood up and actually, sorry, I guess we got to start over, keep my streak alive? All of these terrible thoughts, feelings flooding into my body. And I turn and I look at him and I say, nice move, kiddo. You might have me there. Now, thankfully, he screwed up and I won, but that's not the moral of the story. The moral of the story is we have thoughts and feelings and we don't get to control those. They wash into us. But the thing that we can control is our behavior. I have a very simple formula. Thought plus feeling equals behavior. What we teach with this program is how to extend that equal sign, that instead of in an argument and I get 5 seconds away from it and I'm like, ooh, damn it, I should have said this. Or if I'm in that argument that I don't accidentally say something that now I'm going to regret later. That is stretching the equal sign. That's how we build relationships. That's how we build connection with people. How many of you have had those moments where you felt so angry because of a customer or because of a client or because of a colleague? When we think about what outcomes we want to have, the only thing that you have control over is your behavior. And once we understand that, we can use that to influence the world around us in very incredible ways. So, here's our 4-drive framework, and I'm going to give you a couple of tips before we finish here on how you can utilize this. The drive to acquire, the drive to defend, the drive to learn, the drive to bond, and the elements. Again, take the free assessment. Have all your friends take it. Have your spouses take it. Have your boyfriends, girlfriends. You're going to learn quite a bit about where their behaviors come from and what motivates them. So we're using this program to change cultures at Nikon, at Ford, at Stellantis, and so on and so forth. These big companies are adopting this, and literally all of their new hires are going through the behavioral elements assessment. They want to know what is going to motivate this person. How many of you have any troubles engaging employees or maybe even your teams? How do you work together in different aspects? One of my business partners is a high earth and secondary fire. I am a high fire and a secondary air. Do you know what happens? This is one of those like cheesy moments where it's like, not only did we design it, but we're also a client, because we really are. We used to fight constantly because I'd run into the office. I'd be like, Michelle, I've got a great idea. We're going to go to Zagreb. So Michelle goes, okay, Jay, you're the CEO. I'll start planning a trip to Zagreb. She books the flights. She does this and that and the other thing. And next week I come flying in and I'm like, Michelle, I watched this awesome documentary this weekend, and it was all about Dubrovnik. We got to go there instead. And Michelle goes, you just had me do all the work, and now you want me to change all this? What's wrong with you? So she begrudgingly does this. And then I come in the next week, and I say, Michelle, oh my gosh, I read this book this weekend, and it said, we got to go to Split. You have to go to Split. And at this point in time, Michelle throws up her hand and says, how are you going to get there? What are you going to do with this? What details? Where are you going to stay? What are you going to pay for? That's not part of it. And just a wall of no. So we created 2 very simple behavioral tricks. One is called the thumbtack rule. When I come in with my great innovative idea that I want to do right now, she says, let's put a thumbtack in that. If you are as excited about that in our next OKR cycle, our next 90 days, I will help you get that done. 90 days later, she's like, Jay, what do you think about this? And be like, what? What the hell are you talking? Oh, yeah, don't worry about that. But that's my behavioral style. So I have to now, when I come in and I have an idea, I'm like, here's what I want to do. Here's how I want to accomplish it. This is what done looks like. This is how I think we can pay for it, structure it, etc. But I know I'm missing some details. Could you poke holes in this or fill in the gaps for me? Let's meet next Friday to talk about it. I gave some space and time. All of a sudden, the fights, the conflicts started going way down. So when we think about these, your customers, your consumers, your clients, your colleagues, all of them, we have these drives and they're propelling your behaviors. Here's 4 ways that you can say it better. First, stay ferociously curious. In all of your marketing materials, we have 5 different versions of this card that's out here. It has just minor tweaks of language. We send them out. We see what response comes back. I know you can do A/B testing in your email platforms and campaigns, but are you doing that with landing pages, advertisements? Are you taking advertisements that have language that would be very attractive to the drive to bond or the drive to acquire, and having that language take you to a landing page that is specifically all about winning, competitive, get the best boat, your highest status, your biggest ego taken care of right here? Because if I'm a water element, when we worked with banks, I don't know if they do this here, but a lot of the banks, they'll send out, at least in the US, they're going to send out, hey, sign up for our account and we'll put $200 into your bank account. That's their gimmick to get you in the door. They want you to put your money in there. Well, one of the banks was like, yeah, we get like 10% of the people that actually do it. I said, do you want to increase that? I said, yeah. I said, do the assessment with your, it's a little community bank. Do the assessment with some of your employees. Let's get some data. And we found that a majority of them were water elements. So we changed a small language tweak. If you open an account with us, we'll give your friend $200. 33% increase. 33% increase. They didn't give a shit about the $200 in their account, but the moment that they could do something nice for somebody else, that resonated. We won't find this unless you're being ferociously curious. Second, listen for what's not being said. One of the things that I constantly bring to organizations is I ask them, are you doing customer feedback surveys? And they're all like, yeah, of course. I said, awesome. You're doing a survey about an experience about somebody that knows you. You want to grow your market or your market potential? That's not going to do it. I want to know why somebody chose to get on a Carnival Cruise Line rather than a personal charter boat. I want to know why somebody decided to go and spend a week vacation X, Y, and Z instead of getting onto a charter boat. That's what's not being said, and that's what's being missed. When we look at those customer satisfaction surveys, that's great. It tells you what you did good, it tells you what you can improve, but it doesn't tell you the reason that somebody didn't get on your boat in the first place. That is where research and surveys can come in. Tailoring your message. I mentioned this. Tailor your message. Look at how the communication cycles goes. This is not a challenge when you start to think about, I could have 4 different messages in 4 different ways that's going to resonate with different people, or I can build that into the website framework. And then last but not least, you all heard of the golden rule, right? Treat people how you want to be treated. Communication, it's the platinum rule. Communicate with people how they want to be communicated to. It is the fastest way to build rapport. It is the fastest way to build rapport is matching a communication style. If I'm a fire and I come in direct and hot and I'm selling to a water, that water element is going to go, slow down. I got to talk to my friends, my family, my people. I got to check in with this. I got to do this. And I'm just going to bulldoze right through it. And that sale's gone. I've lost trust. But if I talk to that person the way that they want to be talked to, that's how I can create better connections. When we think about the elements, and again, take a spin at it. I think you'll enjoy it. This is something that has been so powerful for me and my self-understanding to learn to lead a team more effectively. I'm very, very high fire. And I realize that that's not always the best thing. The most motivational day in my life is when I learned that behavior is a choice. And how you choose to behave will determine your success and your failure. Thank you so much for having me here and being an awesome audience with me. It's been my absolute pleasure. And thank you, MMK, for all that you do. 3 years running. I'm so excited to be here, so thank you.